The linear bifolding door is one of the most attractive and energy-efficient PVCU doors on the market. In order to make sure it operates smoothly and stands up to the rigorous tests of daily use, it's important to make sure the installation is carried out to Liniar's guidelines. This video will show you how. First, check the size of the door before the installation starts. You should already have prepared the aperture, so now make sure it is clean and ready to install the new door. Remove any old silicone and brush down the threshold so the opening is clean. Measure the heights, widths and diagonals to ensure the opening is equal on all sides, as well as being square. Use a spirit level and a string line to assess the level of the threshold you are working from. Temporarily place the required packers on the threshold and dry fit the sill. This will help to assess the finish level of the sill. This shows a sill that is not level. The door will not operate correctly with a sill like this, so go back and level up the threshold before you carry on. Once it is level, double-check the door still has enough clearance on the height when it's installed. Before fixing the sill to the brick threshold, it must be supported along its full length. This can be done effectively by using a bed of mortar along the full sill length between the required packers. Install the sill in place and tap down onto the packers gently using a plastic mallet. The sill can be fixed firmly in place by using spax bolts or equivalent fixings at a maximum of 600 mm centers. Pre-drill the sill and brick threshold using an SDS drill and fix into place. Ensure the fixings are not over-tightened, causing unnecessary distortion, and check the level and bow at each step of the process. Liniar strongly recommends removing all sashes from the outer frame before installing our bifold doors for the best possible results. So, unscrew the hinges and carefully lift out the sash frames. Make sure you keep all the screws in the correct order to reassemble it later. Run a silicone bead along the outer edges of each side of the sill, joining the rear upstand to Liniar's unique middle upstand. This will ensure a weather-tight seal for the doors. You should also cover the top of any fixings in the sill with silicone to avoid any water ingress. Lift the outer frame into position in the opening. To hold the door in place temporarily whilst you level it, loosely pack out the jambs. Keep checking they are level as you go along, as this will help to avoid any potential issues in later steps. There should be no twist or distortion in the jambs, and they should be plumb. With the packers in place, fix both outer jambs in place with appropriate fixings. Fixings should be no closer than 150 mm from corners and at 600 mm maximum centers, with a minimum of 2 fixings per side. Packers must be used at either side of each fixing to help prevent distortion. As you work, continue to check for any bows, as well as for plumbness and squareness. Once pushed against the sill's rear upstand, the threshold can now be fixed into place. Use appropriate fixings to secure down through the pre-punched drainage holes into the PVCU sill. A timber lat can be used to help ensure that the head is installed parallel to the sill. Fix the head into place, completing the outer frame installation. Once the outer frame is in place, perform a final check for all the measurements again.